Hello and welcome to our early reading workshop. During this workshop, we will cover early reading and how we teach this at Ashdean Primary School. First, we will look at what phonics is and how it is taught here at Ashdean. We will then go on to look at the different phases of phonics and how this looks across the different key stages. Finally, we will look at how you can help at home. So what is phonics? Synthetic phonics offers the vast majority of young children the best, most direct route to becoming skilled readers and writers. Phonics is essentially what we use to teach children how to read and write. Our language is made up of 26 letters, 44 phonemes, and over 150 graphemes. Through their phonic learning journey, children will learn all of these and will use them to read and spell words. So thinking about the meaning of phonemes and graphemes, it's important that we know what they are so we can refer to them with the children. We use this terminology in school and the children may use it at home as well. So a phoneme is the smallest unit of sound in a word, and it can be represented by a letter or a group of letters. The grapheme is the written representation of a phoneme. Grapheme-phoneme correspondences, or GPCs as we may call them, are when we can link a phoneme to a grapheme and vice versa. Building on that, phonemes or sounds are represented by graphemes which may be made up of one or more letters. Reading and spelling are two different skills. To read, children need to decode words. When decoding, they will recognise a grapheme and say the corresponding phoneme. For example, if they were reading the word spoon, they would point to each grapheme and say the sound that represents it. Spoon. The graphemes here are S, which is represented by the letter S, P, which is represented by the letter P, U, which is represented by two letter O's, and N, which is represented by the letter N. When spelling, children will segment words. To do this, they will split the word they want to spell into the phonemes. To achieve this, they have to listen to the phonemes and then write down the grapheme which represents them. It's important to remember that a phoneme can be represented or spelled in more than one way. The same grapheme can also represent more than one phoneme. Throughout their phonic journey, the children will come across lots of graphemes. They start their journey by learning single letter graphemes in reception. This is when one letter represents one single sound. So for example, in the word cat, we have k, a, t. These phonemes are represented by one letter, the letter C for k, the letter A for a, and the letter T for t. Digraphs are when there are two letters that make one sound. These can be seen in the examples sheep, where we have the letter S and H, which makes our sh sound, and the letter E and E, which make our E sound. Trigraphs are when there are three letters that can make one sound. An example of this is in the word fair, where the sound air has A, I, and R in, so there's three letters there which come together to make air. Split digraphs are taught in Year 1. These are when a consonant splits up the vowel sound. In the word cake, for example, A is split with a k, k, a, k, cake. The children will learn and use this terminology throughout their journey. To help distinguish between the different types of graphemes, we also use sound buttons along with actions to support them. When decoding words, so when reading, we will use sound buttons to help distinguish between the graphemes that we may come across within a word. A single letter phoneme will be recognised by having a single dot beneath it. You can see this in the example C on our PowerPoint. A diagraph will have a slice. So again, in the example C, our E diagraph, which is made up of an E and an E, has a slice, which is a line underneath it. A split diagraph will have a curl connecting the two vowels together. This can be seen in cake, smile, and mistake. When segmenting words to spell them, we may use actions. Similar to the symbols that we use for decoding, we would punch a single letter, slice a diagraph, and curl the split diagraphs. So how is phonics taught here at Ashdean Primary School? So we use a synthetic scheme called Book Club Phonics. A phonics session is taught whole class every day for 30 minutes. Phonics is taught across all of Key Stage 1. During a phonics session, children will revisit prior knowledge and then learn a new grapheme phoneme correspondent. Once this has been taught, they will have the opportunity to independently practice and apply their knowledge through reading or writing. Following on from this, we then teach a guided reading session that mirrors our phonics. During this lesson, children will read a story that includes taught GPCs. It's important to note that we only want to give children reading books that contain phonemes and graphemes that have been taught. It can be tempting as a parent to go out and buy books for your children to read. There are so many around on the market at the moment. We love and appreciate your enthusiasm, but asking children to decode words that contain GPCs they may not know can cause them to become frustrated and lose confidence. It's therefore important to only ask the children to read the decodable books that school have sent home or put on your online book club library. That way, we can build the children's confidence, which in turn will support them to become fluent readers. So there are many phases of phonics that first begin at preschool, and we're going to have a look at those now. So phonics starts when children are in nursery. At the age of 3, children begin phase 1 phonics. This is when they start to recognise sounds in the environment, rhymes in stories, alliteration, and initial sounds within words. This is a really important skill, as if children cannot distinguish between sounds, it can then be difficult for them to decode and spell words further down the line. It's also important to note that children do not stop this learning. It is continuous as they move through all of the stages. To support children with this, you can ensure they have lots of opportunities to listen and join in with oral blending and segmenting. An example of this could be playing I Spy. You might use initial sounds to play I Spy, such as I spy with my little eye something beginning with B. You may choose to use oral blending and segmenting. I hear with my little ear something that sounds like B, I, N. The children will then have to blend that word together to form it. And then you could swap it over and do vice versa. You could even introduce oral segmenting and blending into your everyday activities. Maybe asking instructions or giving instructions or asking something of the children, but instead of using normal talk, you would split those sounds up. So an example is, it's time to get your k-oat. Let's go get your k-oat. That way, children start to recognise those words and blend them together. Phase 2 is taught in reception. During this phase, children are taught 23 phonemes along with their grapheme correspondent. Once taught a set of sounds, the children are then encouraged to blend those sounds into the words. Children will then use their segmenting skills to spell out simple CVC words using the sounds that they know. A CVC word is the most simple form of word, or a CV word as well, and the most simple form of words that we have, and that's where we start to read and spell. It might be words like cat, pin, tap, pat, man. It has a consonant, a vowel, and a consonant. During this phase, they also are taught tricky words. Tricky words are words that don't follow the usual phonetic rules or patterns of spelling. They begin learning these in reception and build upon them all the way through up until year 2. Phase 3 is also taught in reception. Children are taught 27 phonemes along with their grapheme phoneme correspondence. During this phase, they start to learn about digraphs and trigraphs. Once taught a set of sounds, the children are encouraged again to blend sounds into words and then to spell words using those taught grapheme phoneme correspondences. They then continue to build on their tricky word knowledge as we introduce more to them. Phase 4 is taught in reception. During this phase, they are not taught any new sounds and graphemes. However, it is one of the most important phases within reception. During this time, children are taught adjacent consonants, which are when 2 consonants appear at the start or at the end of a word. These can be very hard to hear when children are spelling. Children are also taught multisyllabic words such as airport, and are taught compound words, which are when 2 words become one, like hot dog. Again, we add more tricky words to their vocabulary and spelling list. Phase 5 is taught in year 1. It is one of the trickiest phases as they have to learn all the alternate sounds for each phoneme. Alongside this, they are taught more words. So why do we have to learn this? Well, obviously we want the children to become fluent readers, and that is so important for their learning journey. They also will take part in a national phonics screening check. This is a statutory assessment that all year 1 pupils will take. It comprises of a list of 40 words. This list is made up of 20 real words and 20 nonsense words. The reason that they include nonsense words is because children who cannot blend sufficiently and cannot read fluently will often make these nonsense words into real words. So it will tell us whether they are a confident, fluent reader or not. It assesses their phonics skills and knowledge that's been taught from reception all the way through to year 1. It will take place the week beginning of June the 9th next year. It's really important to note that this screening check is informal to the children. We do not make it a formal event, and they go out with a familiar adult within the school and have a look at the words together. The children are practicing all the way through year 1, so the screening is something that they are used to seeing all the time. So how do we prepare in school? So children are taught all the phonemes and grapheme correspondences they need to be able to access the phonics screening. Children will practice and apply their skills consistently within school by reading words that contain their taught GPC. Reading books and reading sheets will be sent home that contain words that match the taught sounds. And the year 1 teachers will also include video links in with the sounds and actions so that you can support your children at home. In the spring term, after the completion of all Phase 5 sounds, teachers will personalise the words that come home with your child. This allows them to support each individual child. We also monitor children's progress every half-termly within phonics. So children may be asked to join an intervention group to further support their learning. So how can you help at home? Reading it as often as you can with your child is the best thing you can do. We recommend reading once a day. It's important to think about the time of the day that you may read with your child. Enjoying a book in bed at the end of the day might not be the best time. Reading is a really difficult skill. It requires the children to think about lots of different elements. And if they're tired, they may not be able to apply these as effectively as they could do in the morning or at a different time of day. Complete the reading sheets that your children bring along home with them. If they're still decoding, you may think that they are reading fluently. However, this isn't the case. We want children to read fluently, which means that when they look at a word, they're not having to decode it. They can recognise that word straight away, or they can decode it in their head and say it. So we keep going over and over the words until those children are fluent with them. You can also use the resources on your book club library to support your children's learning and keep it as fun and enjoyable as possible. For those of you who are new to Ashdean Primary School, Book Club Phonics has an online learning journey that allows you to access reading books online. Teachers will add their reading books each week, and these are picked to ensure they match the children's current phonic knowledge. To further support children with their reading, they will take home another decodable book, as well as the one that's online. This book is unfamiliar to them, as they will not have access to it in their guided reading sessions in class. However, it is still decodable for them, and you can use it to practice reading further if you wish. We do recommend starting online using the book club book we have put on there, but then you can always go to the book that's in your bag as well. All of these books stay with you for the whole learning journey. So if you want to access any book at any time, you can just go on to your online library. Alongside their decodable books, children will also take home a non-decodable book. This is a book that children will read for pleasure. They choose a book, but they do need your support to read it with them at home, as it has not got words that they have been taught. To show you are reading at home, each child has an Ashdean bookmark. We ask that you sign each day when you read with your child. We look at these with the children in class and praise and reward those who are reading as much as possible. Tapestry is an online learning journey that allows reception to share learning with the parents. It's an app that is updated every half term with pictures of what we have been doing in school. We also use it to share homework and activities that you can have a go at doing outside of school to support your child's development. These activities are not compulsory, however, they are there to support you and your child at home if you wish. If you do complete the activities, or if you have something you want to share with us, like a holiday or an important swimming milestone, you can share this using Tapestry. If you follow the links provided, all the instructions on how to do that are there for you. Homework will be uploaded on Tapestry every Friday. So last but not least, we come to our other tips. Keep reading enjoyable with the children. Read all of the time if you can, even if it's based around cooking or instructions or putting things together. Reading is the most important thing you can do. Continue to share books together each night. So it might be storybooks that they enjoy. They might go to the library and pick out the books that they want. Enrich conversations through description to extend vocabulary. The more vocabulary children have, the better readers they become. And talk to your child as much as possible using vocabulary and conversation. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you find it useful, and if you have any other questions, feel free to contact. Thank you. Bye.